Hello, everyone. My name is Lucia Torres. I'm our executive director. Welcome to the Photo Awards, everyone. This is Las Fotos Project's second annual event series featuring an awards ceremony, in-focus conversations, silent auction recognizing women photographers, and a benefit event for our organization, a brave space where teen girls gather to collaborate, learn, and be inspired through photography. We created this event because we felt a need for a space where women's creative work in photography could be seen, honored, and celebrated. Thank you for making this space exist with your support today. Tonight, we're thrilled to honor 6 inspiring photographers across the categories of advocacy, editorial, and self-expression. This weekend, you'll have the opportunity to own a powerful photograph by one of 50 women photographers. And just now you were listening to a special woman-powered mix by Kaylin Height. If you have the all access ticket, you can find the entire track in your inbox. If not, you can purchase it on our website. Kaylin Height is a multi-genre DJ based in LA. She also is a freelance writer whose work has appeared in LA Times, Teen Vogue, and more. Some important information. We're providing closed captioning for this event, as well as ASL interpretation. Please note that interpreters will switch out every 15 minutes, so there may be up to a 1-minute gap as they switch. Also, we're hosting a short Q&A session towards the end of the ceremony. Make sure to add your questions to the chat box, or you can also join us tomorrow during our in-focus conversations with each awardee. We would also like to thank our sponsors, our media partners, supporters, and photographers for helping us make this event possible. Thank you very much to Getty Images, Morena Strategies, Rad Furniture, Lander Skateboards, Photographic Arts Council Los Angeles, Interpret That, Plantitas, Sunflowers and Brie, Santitos Candles, Center for Photographers of Color, and Photographers Green Book. Before we officially kick off tonight's celebration, we'd also like to take a moment to honor the space we're presenting from today, the lands and waters of the Tongva, Quiche, Fernandendo Tatavian Band of Mission Indians, and the Gabrielino Band of San Gabriel Mission Indians. We would also like to honor the Piyut Soshon tribe, whose water we receive daily. So now let's get tonight's celebration started and welcome our host for the evening, Bailey Mizell, the director of the Photographic Arts Council Los Angeles and member of our host committee. Oh, Bailey, your sound is off, Bailey.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Lucia. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Lucia, and thank you to Lost Photos Project for inviting me to host this year. I'm Bailey Mizell. A little bit about me. I'm the director of PAC LA, Photographic Arts Council Los Angeles. Working in contemporary art and arts education throughout Los Angeles and in the photography and creative writing community has granted me the opportunity to work alongside art leaders and educators, developing community arts public events, opportunities for creative youth, and exhibitions with emerging artists and art organizations. It has been such an honor for PAC LA and I to support Lost Photos Project this year and being members of their inaugural host committee, alongside my fellow host committee members, Abigail Suazo, Chief Marketing Officer of the Tenori Group, Amy Tierney, Photographer, Director, Thrive Images, Kathy Minez, Co-Founder, Month of Photography, Los Angeles, Devin Galindo, Photographer, Director, 2019 Editorial Award winner, Deandra Lawson, Curatorial Assistant, LACMA, Emily Grijalva, Community School Coordinator, Los Angeles Unified School District, Laura Romanos, Executive Director and Co-Founder of Fotoville, Lisa Changaduvia, Chief of Staff, Move On, Paula Ely, Vice President, Photographic Arts Council, Los Angeles, Safia Leah Shabaik, Artist, Photographer, 2019 Self-Expression Award winner, Zoila Darton, Founder and Creative Director of Word Agency, and Getty Images team from Getty Images. Let's take a moment to acknowledge their generosity in supporting this benefit and judging the award categories with Lost Photos Project's Youth Advisory Council. Yay. Thank you for your time and support. Lost Photos Project's work in the Los Angeles community has tangible impacts that are vital to empowering young girls. especially girls of color during a critical time in their personal and creative development. To support this second annual awards program is meaningful to me because it further validates the importance of this organization's work. An extension of their mission is reflected in the silent auction exhibition featuring 50 women photographers and is viewable at lostphotosproject.org/the Photo Awards. The silent auction is a unique opportunity to purchase an original piece from a leading photographer. The auction is live and will close on Sunday at 12 p.m. Make sure to place your bids now. And to the silent auction photographers, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for submitting your work this year, donating your work actually. Some bidding details. The starting bid for each photograph is $100 and winners will be notified on Monday, October 26th. Winning bids will receive the 20 by 30 inch size print in the mail within 2 weeks. If you'd like to support in another way, you can also text Foto, F-O-T-O, 707070 to make a donation by text. And now for the moment we've all been waiting for. Our second annual awardees personify the Spirit of Lost Photos Project's mission to mentor teenage girls by dismantling industry expectations and molding new, inclusive narratives for future creatives. With over 120 photographers nominated through social media and across photography networks, the finalists for self-expression, advocacy, and editorial were ultimately selected by our host committee and youth advisory council. In my hands here is the model of the actual award that recipients will be receiving, recognizing them for their work. Nice marble heavy award here. I would like to invite Rocio Hernandez to the stage. To the stage. They are Lost Photos Project student member of the Youth Advisory Council.
Hi, I'm Rocio, and I have been a student with Lost Photos Project for 3 semesters. It feels a lot longer than that, in a good way, of course. I think of Lost Photos Project as my extended family because everyone just magically gets along with everyone. I feel very grateful to have been able to see the participants work in this category. Tonight, I am so honored to offer the Self-Expression Award, which is graciously presented by Rad Furniture Lander Skateboards. This category uplifts bravery in creative expression or personal narratives in photography, which remains a founding tenet of Las Fotos Project and their Esta Soy Yo curriculum. This photographer expresses love and bravery through portraits of her and her daughter. Looking through her work, I felt the love they both have for each other. I saw 2 courageous human beings in their daily life. Courageous because we live in a society that can be ableist and marginalize people with disabilities. Her work embodies everything self-expression stands for: expression of self, creativity, bravery, and vulnerability. Please join me in recognizing Anna Granados for her incredible work in this field.
Thank you so much, Rocio, for your kind words. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm on. Sorry. I think I am. Anyhow, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. And this is Anna Granados, 2020 Adult Awardee for Self-Expression. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the Lost Photos Project to begin with. So when mentoring young girls, I found that Lost Photos Project is not just some nice words on paper, it also means action. It's a community-based nonprofit organization that inspires teenage girls through photography, mentorship, and self-expression. It bridges the gap between self-advocacy and emotional well-being. It offers a safe space for teenage girls to explore who they are as they are learning lifelong skills. And most importantly, it gives young girls from communities of color a voice. The Photo Award is a celebration of women photographers who inspire. But in this case, however, Last Fotos project inspires me. And this is why I'm so humbled by receiving this award. Being recognized in the category of self-expression by such an inspiring organization means so much to me. I came to photography late and I am self-taught. Photography has always been therapeutic for me and based in self-inquiry. But my work is also, as mentioned previously, a collaboration with my daughter Lulu. She's a young teenager, she's 16, and she's living with Down syndrome. Much like many girls who are part of Last Photo Project, her voice is rarely heard. But through our collaborative project, Regard, she gets to create her own narrative. She gets to make her own story. Actually, when asked about her participation in the photo project, she said, and here I quote her, "I hope people want to see me through the photos and people are going to know me when they look at my pictures. I like who I am, I like my life, and I like everybody to see me." Every day I use self-exploration in my art. I push myself to show my vulnerability so that I can connect to yours. I'm thrilled to be offered by the Photo Awards the opportunity to reach even more young artists and show them that they too have rich raw material at their fingertips, waiting to be molded into beauty. I wanted to thank everyone at Last Photos. Thank you to the judges, especially to the Last Photos Project Youth Advisory Council. Thank you to my family for letting me show their lives to the world. Thank you to my friends, old and new, from the East Coast to the West Coast, for your ongoing support. And of course, thank you, Lulu. Lulu, thank you for teaching me how to see.
Hi everyone, my name is Sofia Yashcheva. I'm currently a senior in high school and I have been a student with Las Fotos project for 3 semesters. Tonight, I'm honored to offer the Adult Advocacy Award, which is graciously presented by Romina Estrada. The Advocacy Award is a reflection of Las Fotos project's celebration of digital promotores, heralding the power of photojournalism and the use of photography for community advocacy and social justice. Photography as an advocacy tool is one of the strongest and most powerful due to the message it can send, as well as the audience it can reach. Advocacy through photography can be a catalyst for the change and awareness of various issues and dilemmas across the world. Please join me in recognizing Hannah Reyes Morales for her incredible work in this field. In her captivating, diverse body of work, Hannah explores universal themes of, quote, diaspora, survival, and the bonds that tie us together, unquote. And she advocates for communities across the globe, Mongolia, and various parts of the Philippines. Her work is a genuine representation of shedding light onto social and historical issues that are so commonly unspoken about. It makes us aware of the struggles of different communities and their means of survival.
Thank you so much to Last Photos Project and to the Youth Advisory Council for this incredible honor. To be given this recognition means the world to me. Awards are often decided on by people much older than myself. This award is special to me because it was determined by the girls from Last Photos Project's Youth Advisory Council. I've always believed that the youth has so much power, authority, and insight. So to be recognized in this is more importantly to recognize the power of girls. Today, I want to say thank you to the people who lifted me up and made me believe in my own power as a girl. To Nanay and to my mother, who taught me in tales. To my childhood best friend, Katha, who was the first person outside of my household to listen to all my stories. Thank you. To Tita Monique Wilson and to Tita Rosana Abueva, who were the first people who helped me see how radical it was to be young and awake. Thank you. In the years to come, I'm hopeful that the landscape of photography will be nurtured and shaped by the safe hands of people like the girls from Last Photos Project. People whose photographic practices are rooted in their communities, rooted in their advocacies, and rooted in the hope that the stories we tell may in some way make a difference. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mina Alvarado Goldberg. I'm currently a junior in high school, and I've been a student with Las Fotos for 3 semesters. I am more than grateful to have the opportunity tonight to represent our student body as a member of the Youth Advisory Council. Tonight, I am honored to offer the Adult Editorial Award, which is so graciously presented by Getty Images. This category is a celebration of inspirational female identifying entrepreneurs and innovators, and is a reflection of Las Fotos Project's commitment to ensuring women have equal representation in a male-dominated industry, which is what is modeled through our CEO program. So please join me in recognizing Cara Romero for her amazing work in this field. Cara's fine art and editorial photography reflects her identity as an Indigenous woman, and she uses her platform as an artist to resist Eurocentric narratives and open audiences' perspectives to the fascinating diversity of living Indigenous peoples.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. My name is Cara Romero, and I'm so honored to be here this evening. I'm tuning in from Santa Fe, the land of the Tiwa, Tewa, and Towa and Kara-speaking peoples, so the pueblos of northern New Mexico. Thank you again so much to Las Fotos Project and to the host committee, and especially to the Youth Advisory Committee for this really special editorial award. It goes so far, not only the acknowledgement for the encouragement to continue on making the work that I'm making, and it's an honor to touch your lives as well. A few acknowledgements. Thank you so much to my grandmother, who always believed in me from the very beginning and hung my silver gelatins on the wall of her very modest home on the reservation, especially to Bill Thomas, who encouraged me to always keep putting that content into my photography that I was so passionate about. To Jerry Poppenhaus for always reminding me to participate in photography with a childlike wonder, to always consider yourself a student of photography and to continue learning. And especially to my husband, Diego, for not only loving me, but for teaching me to love myself, and to remind me to always make photography and to invest in myself. Photography very much saved my life, and I hope that all of the youth participating in tonight's event and with Las Fotos Project are encouraged to let photography be a part of their life and their voice. I was 21 when I picked up my first camera, and it was always a very healthy compulsion. To the youth photographers that are participating, it takes thousands of hours to hone your craft. Photography is a way to express your identity and your innermost feelings and vulnerability, like Anna said, in a way that is more than words can do. So as you work in the industry, always go after that narrative in your work, because photography is such a privilege when you're from a marginalized community. It's a privilege for us to be able to tell our own stories, and we have a wealth of content that has not been discovered yet. So before I turn my camera off tonight, I just also want to encourage our youth to invest in themselves. And photography is very expensive, but continue investing in your practice and know that photography is not frivolous, but a radical act of self-care. Thank you for the visibility to myself and to my community that this brings. And thanks again so much to Las Fotos Project and to Jesse Castillo for putting this all together. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Cara, and to our Adult Award winners. Are you all ready to meet your Youth Award winners? These young women have been studying photography for just 4 years, and our teaching artists wanted to acknowledge their incredible skill and creativity. I'd like to invite Ana Rivas and Bella Granados to the stage.
Hello, my name is Anna, and I'm one of the teaching artists for the SSOYO program a las Fotos project. Our class explores the self in our community using therapeutic photography practices and mixed media techniques. We challenge our students to explore non-traditional approaches to image making and move artistically in a hands-on journey of self-discovery. We use art as a tool to build self-confidence and to create a dialogue within our own selves.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bella, and I'm also a teaching artist for the SSOYO program. Today, we are happy to celebrate and honor a passionate, dedicated student who has brought joy and inspiration to our program. We have had the opportunity to not only see her grow as a person, but as an artist as well. Miabella's photo collage series, All at Once, a solo show, expresses her ethnicity, locality, gender, and sexuality depicted through surreal scenes. Her work radiates with color, playfulness, and imagination.
This is Anna speaking again. Miabella takes us outside the box and into a creative realm, pushing us to think deeper about who we are and how we connect with the world around us. We are impressed by her creative talent, her willingness to take risks, and her endless curiosity. I'm honored to honor her today with the Youth Self-Expression Award, which is graciously presented by RAD, Furniture Laundry.LA Skateboards. Unfortunately, Miabella is not able to join us tonight, and so I'd like to welcome Lucia Torres, Las Fotos Project's Executive Director, who will be accepting the award on her behalf.
Hi, yes, it's such an honor to be able to accept this award for Miabella, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today. But Miabella Chavez has been a student with Las Fotos Project since 2016, and before that began her interest in the arts in 2009. Since then, she's been an active participant in several organizations throughout Los Angeles. She recently developed these several beautiful collages, which touched on vulnerable areas in her own personal life as a teen and also as an artist. And these beautiful collages were part of her solo show called All at Once, which can be viewed at our website, lasfotosproject.org. Like I mentioned, Miabella has been such an active and energetic participant in everything that she does. And so I'm so happy to be able to accept this for her. Congratulations, Miabella.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all tonight. My name is Rihanna, and I am a teaching artist for Las Fotos Project. I teach with the branch called Digital Promotoras, which equips students with the tools to become photojournalists who tell stories about social issues within their communities. The Advocacy Award celebrates a commitment to social justice, interrogative storytelling, and originality. And it's with great excitement that we present tonight's Advocacy Award to Annie Sun.
Hi, everyone. My name is Leah Hubbard, and I'm also a teaching artist for Digital Promotoras. And I'd like to tell you a bit more about Annie. Annie joined Las Fotos Project this past spring and was in my first class as a teaching artist after being a mentor for multiple years. This class was supposed to be focused on documenting public transit, but was of course curtailed by COVID-19. However, Annie stayed dedicated to the weekly virtual class as well as dedicated to documenting the public domain and created her own final project focused on trash in her neighborhood in and around public transportation. Annie was then also chosen to participate in the summer intensive course, Our Streets, which is available to view online as well, where she committed to participating in 6 classes all the way from Korea and composed beautiful images that captured mobility issues within her local surroundings. Annie has a natural eye for photography. Her images feel intimate and intentional. She's also a beautiful writer, which makes her an amazingly comprehensive and talented storyteller. She uses both her lens and her pen to craft stories that amplify important issues. I'm so proud and so honored to present her with the Youth Advocacy Award, which is graciously presented by Romina Strategies.
Hi, my name is Annie, and it is such an honor to be the recipient of the Youth Advocacy Award. I'd like to thank Alyssa and Alana and all the incredible Las Fotos project staff and mentors who have worked so hard to make everything work for all of us girls. It was truly inspiring seeing how passionate everyone was about their artwork, and the sole condition of being in your guys' presence was uplifting. Of course, I'm most grateful for Leah H., who's been such an amazing teaching artist and allowed us to be creative while teaching us about the importance of using our cameras and voices to speak up about issues that we care about. I learned so much about mobility justice and that even teenage activism matters. Thank you, Leah C., for your heartfelt emails and for encouraging me along the way, even when I was halfway across the world. You motivated me to join classes despite the fact that it was 2 a.m. in my time zone. Lastly, I'm so grateful that I had my Las Fotos project peers like Rocio and Stephanie. Without your support, which you made clear with your influx of comments and emojis in our Google Hangouts and Zoom sessions, I don't think I would have had the confidence to shoot the photos that I wanted to take or venture out to try something different. Oh, one more thing, I think I lied. There's one more person I want to thank, and that is my sister, Jenny. I'm so sorry, Jenny, that I asked you about every single photograph before uploading it to share it with my peers and mentors. You always gave me the push that I needed to move forward. Without you, this would not have been possible. Okay, now that's really it. Thank you so much, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. My name is Kenzie Floyd, and I'm one of the teaching artists for the CEO program. CEO stands for Creative Entrepreneurial Opportunities. We work alongside students, connecting them with job opportunities and on-site mentorship to prepare them for a career in the photo industry. We believe that teenage girls have a unique voice and perspective that is powerful and healing. And in this program, we truly believe that students are not only capable of making professional contributions now, but that the photo industry is in need of their beautiful visions and contributions. A career in this industry, as many of us know, requires talent, resources, and connections. But perhaps most importantly, it requires a sense of self and initiative. These qualities are absolutely embodied by the recipient of our Youth Editorial Award, Romina Estrada. I had the joy of meeting Romy during both of our first semesters in the program. I was a new mentor, and Romy was a new student. I was immediately taken with her unique style and her transparent willingness to learn and to connect. She had a clear vision in her head and was determined to learn camera, posing, and editing techniques to achieve it. Over the years, Romy has completely stepped into her identity as a photographer. From being a bit shy and not knowing anybody in the program, she has evolved into a self-assured young woman who has spoken on panels, led discussions, and shot for brands like Girlfriend, Forever 21, and Lander Skateboards. Her photos achieve a look of being both editorial and approachable, nostalgic and otherworldly. Romy has an eye for fashion, and she's able to translate that in her work through her highly unique posing, shooting, and editing style. For all of those reasons and more, I'm so honored to present her with the Youth Editorial Award. In addition to this award, our partner Getty Images has offered photography shadowing opportunities for Romy with their in-house photographers and a $500 cash award. Please join me in congratulating her through the chat.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much, Kenzie. She's like my second mother. And thank you, Las Fotos Project, for this amazing award. I am so happy to be here today with so many other creatives. I'd first like to thank my parents and my sister, Kimmy, for being so supportive of my art and always curious of what I'm working on. I've been at Las Fotos Project for almost 4 years now, and I have met so many inspiring women, my past and current mentors and teachers, Kenzie, Ceci, Anna, Kathleen, Linnea, Brittany, Alexandra, Joey, Miriam, and literally so many more amazing women who still inspire me today. They have all been so kind to me and helped me with whatever I needed. When I was down or in a pit of trouble, they were always there with advice and a helping hand. I would think that after nearly 7 years of doing photography, it would get easier, but it does not. I applaud every woman who does art, whether it's their career or a hobby. It is draining and exhausting, and who am I, a child, here to tell you if it gets easier anytime soon? Yet somehow we manage to pull the most beautiful things out of it every time. From every detail of our photographs, the color, the composition, and the meaning, we care about every little speck, which is what I admire from the artists. The opportunities I have received from Las Fotos are indescribable. Never in my teenage years would I have thought that I would ever go to these amounts of work, from working for a girlfriend collective to Forever 21, and to making life-lasting friends who share the artistic passion only you feel like you are able to describe in your mind. Thanks to everyone who supports me all the time and forever. I will never forget Las Fotos Project and the amazing people I have met there. I love my friends. Thank you.
This is Bailey speaking. Let's celebrate all of our award winners tonight. Go ahead in the chat, celebrate, and be happy for them. Congratulations, congratulations. Feel free to add questions for our upcoming Q&A session, and make sure to place your bids for our silent auction. 100% of the silent auction proceeds will benefit Las Fotos Project's year-round programs. I would like to add that our sponsor, Planitas, is graciously offering each award winner a $25 gift card to purchase a new plant for their home. It's actually pretty great. If you haven't already visited the Las Fotos Project website for the Photo Awards, be sure to do so. We have an exciting weekend ahead, packed with conversations and a sister circle brunch. Get your tickets at lasfotosproject.org/the Photo Awards. Las Fotos Project would not be where it is today without the incredible support of their teaching artists, mentors, and community advocates. We're so appreciative of their creativity, guidance, and commitment to uplifting teenage girls through photography. Thank you. Now, we'd love to invite you all into a brief community of questions and answers session with our award winners. Feel free to drop your questions into the chat using the questions feature on Zoom, and we'll read them aloud to our recipients. You're also welcome to join us tomorrow for our In Focus conversations, where we'll go into depth with each recipient and guest moderators. So we're in the Q&A session now. Go ahead and feel free to add your questions and comments in the Q&A box below or in the chat. We have a little more time here for anyone. Don't be shy. If you have any questions for any of our award winners, our presenters, now's the time. Even if you just want to give a loving message. Yes, music, I like that playlist. Thanks, Jesse. We're still open for the Q&A. We're gonna wait. Could I go? Okay, we have one question here from Helen Alonso Hurtado. To the adult winners, what is the one piece of advice you'd give to your younger selves? Oh, that's a great question. To the adult winners. So who, maybe we can choose, maybe an adult winner can volunteer to answer that question for us, since it wasn't, directed at anyone specifically.
I have a
advice you'd give to your young self. Go ahead, Hannah.
Hi, yeah. Yeah, I think one of the things that I always wish I had when I was younger was valuing my own voice and my own perspective. I wish that I had known that earlier. I think growing up when I was studying photography, I was seeing a lot of work of men, I was seeing a lot of work of white men, and I was trying to emulate that vision. But I think later on, I realized that, of course, the world would not open up to me in the same way. But I think it was so important that I realized that what I thought was interesting and what I thought was worthy of having a photo taken was important because it was from a different perspective and it was from my perspective. And it was a perspective that historically hasn't been recognized in photography. I wish I had known that earlier. I wish I'd learned to value that what I thought was interesting, that what I thought was important, that the stories that I felt were important were enough, that I did not need validation for it to be recognized, that it was enough that I was curious, it was enough that I was interested. So I wish I'd known that earlier because perhaps I would have grown faster. I would have been able to maybe even use my youth in a more constructive way than trying to form myself into shapes that I was not. And yeah, that's what I would tell my younger self. Value your perspective, honor your journey, honor where you're from, honor your path. And I think that that's really the key to, finding your own photographic voice and your own photographic vision.
Yeah, wonderful, Hannah. Thank you for that. It's empowering, that statement there, and very vital and strong. Anna, did you have something to add?
No. Except maybe start earlier. I would say that, start earlier and kind of in the same spirit. Don't follow what other people think is a good idea for you, a good path, academia or whatever the path other people were drawing for me. And because a lot of the thing, especially with self-expression, which is kind of like what I'm doing, it doesn't really matter as far as the final project. That is just flowing for a long time. So the process matters. So if from the very beginning you don't trust yourself, you can't even get into that process. So I would say that to my really young self of a long time ago. Just start working. Who cares about where you're going? Just work. And learn more about yourself as you're doing it. And yeah, but your words were beautiful, Hannah. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Anna, and for answering that one as well. Does anyone else want to answer the same question? Does anyone else have any more questions?
Sure, I'll go. I tried to build into my acceptance speech some advice for the youth, but I can't emphasize enough the importance of investing in yourself and the projects that you really want to make. And I think that was something that was really daunting to me because I was from a background of poverty. And it took me a while to believe in myself and that it was okay to invest in the art. To echo what Anna said, sometimes about when you're making the projects, it's about holding the space for it. And it takes a lot of hours of research and doodling and, working on different compositions to make sure that you have the content and the color and the psychology and all the things that you're trying to communicate to your audience. But when you come to that photo shoot, just realize that you're holding space for the art that really wants to make itself, and that it's a forever humbling. Art is forever humbling. I still have failures as a 43-year-old woman, and I work through those. And I feel like some of my personal favorite pieces, sometimes I look at them and I can't even believe that I made them. But I think it was really about holding the space for making the art, and the art then kind of works through you. And that would be my advice. And to believe in yourselves and to always, always love yourself and to work on your self-esteem. And what Hannah was saying is that it's such a subtle but such a powerful shift to have women behind the camera, especially when we become the subjects, and it comes from such a maternal place and such a place of empowerment and not objectification. Those things just simply happen because we're carrying people, and we're matriarchs. So
yeah, thank you for that, Cara. I like where this is going. I think that we can continue on this topic. I like the adults asking the youth, you know, some things that are happening now, that you're experiencing now, and the youth also asking the adults, you know, what would you say to your younger self? This Q&A doesn't have to just be question answer. It can be a small conversation. Is there anyone, any of our youth award winners that have a question for our older adult winners, or adult winners that have a question for our youth winners that want to expand on that further?
Can I add something to what Cara said, actually? You know, one of the things that I didn't realize as well when I was young, because I think for a lot of us, I'm not sure, you know, for everybody, but for me, there was a lot of pressure, you know, to give back to the community and to be part of, like, in the Philippines, it's a very collectivist society, you know, and I felt like pursuing art was a very selfish thing because it was a more individualistic thing. And I think it wasn't later on that I realized that when you focus on something that you care deeply about, you actually have more to give to your community. And I realized it later on because I had filled myself with so much guilt because I felt like, you know, all my friends were earning in stable jobs and they were able to help to support their families quicker. But by the time that I really got to make a career out of my work, I realized that I had so much more to give because I had listened to myself. And had I gone down a path that I didn't really feel fulfilled with, I think I wouldn't have been able to give as much. And so now I feel like I wish I hadn't continued down that path of guilt. I wish I had just really honored that journey and realized that when you go down the path of photography, it's not, you know, the language that we use in photography, we're taking pictures, but doesn't have to be that extractive. And you know, the language that we use around photography, it's shooting subjects, taking pictures. It's a very violent language.
Right.
And I think that it doesn't match what photography can potentially be. It's holding space, like Cara said. You're holding space for other people. You're not giving a voice to the voiceless. You're amplifying someone's voice. You're translating someone's story. And I think that when you come at it from a place of you want to give to the community and you want to contribute and to make a contribution, that's also a very powerful place. And I think that we don't think about it enough. And so I think that we just have more to give when we honor the way that we do our work and do it in our way.
Yeah. Anna, thank you for expanding on that. I like this question. We have another one here from Rocio. She said, where do you get your hope from? Youth and adult finalists. This is to both. Where do you get your hope from? Anyone that wants to answer that? I think that kind of plays into what we've been talking about a little bit as well, you know, talking to your younger self and empowering your younger self. And so I think that's a big part of hope there too. But if there's anyone that wants to expand on that or talk about that further, feel free to jump in. We actually have a few more questions here. This is from Leah. To any/all who want to answer, are there any new projects you're working on or thoughts you'd be willing to share about any current inspirations? Cara, sure.
So I would like to answer both of those questions. I think, Rocio, we're at a time where people are really at the beginning of their understanding that they have a very, very small education in American history, especially from communities of color. And to be a photographer right now and to be a storyteller in our own community, bringing that visibility that Hannah was talking about to our stories and to our humanity, in order for people to create that empathy that is missing from our society, especially when it comes to engaging with marginalized communities. I come from in a very rural indigenous community in San Bernardino County, and it gives me hope when people begin to understand what modern Native American life is like, and all of the beautiful things from our community, and to empower the people from our community. And to answer the next question, that is really where my work is going to continue to go, to bring visibility to my community and to my friends and my family that I love so much. And this year, I was very fortunate to have received a grant that will take the photographs out of institutional space, and we're going to put them in public space in Los Angeles. So people, despite their background, will have accessibility to photography, to art in public spaces. And so those are two things that I'm really inspired by and won't be stopped by COVID.
Thank you for that, Cara. We have another question for the youth. How have the generation gaps between you and your elders talked about photography as your passion and not as a hobby? From this is from Ellie de Vargas. Yeah, so I'll repeat the question again. Sorry, I was stuttering on pronunciation. To the youth, how have the generational gaps between you and your elders and talking about photography as your passion and not as a hobby? So how has that conversation worked between you and your elders, between photography being passion and not a hobby?
It definitely has changed a lot. When I first started taking like photography seriously, I want to say about like 3 or 4 years ago, it was that conversation between me and my parents, like, oh, I want to do this, and I think I might want to go to school for it, and I want to take on jobs for it. And it's not like they wouldn't take me seriously. They just they were like, well, that's not very like practical, obviously, because like traditional jobs, it's not, but I wouldn't say photography is a traditional job. So I think that applies for all artists though, when talking to like elders or like parents or anything like that about wanting to take on art as a job, especially when it's definitely like a competitive like business or industry, as I would call it. But I've just been working on myself and like taking on jobs through Las Fotos and meeting with other adults who do this as a career, and been consulting with them, and through that and actually having photography jobs, I've been able to prove myself, which I don't think you should have to prove yourself, but I have to my parents that I can do this as a living and make money off of it, even if it's not a traditional job, if that makes sense.
Right. Thank you, Romy, for answering that. Does anyone else from the youth winners want to answer that question, comment on that question there?
I think I can go. So I'm Annie, and I think luckily I do have family members who are involved or who do, I guess, sort of untraditional things. My aunt and uncle, they quit their jobs at, big firm companies, and they started their own like crafts it's just a small business, but they really love what they're doing. And I think my grandparents were able to see that people can live fulfilling lives, even if it's not something that's an office job or what people normally assume when you think job or like occupation. But I think just still there is a lot of stigma around it, especially just in an Asian community and family. There's just, I don't know, like there's a really set program or system of, you know, earning a college degree and then you go get a job that, you know, and the whole spiel. But I think just it kind of goes back to Rocio's question about hope. I think seeing people, and I think that's why being a part of Las Fotos project has been so meaningful, because I was able to be surrounded by, you know, people my age who were just as passionate about photography, but I also was surrounded by adults like photographers, filmmakers, photojournalists who were really just involved in this, and like no matter what their, I guess, level of success that somebody might say, they were just super happy doing their work. And I think seeing people pursue their passions, like that was what gave me hope. And just I think seeing especially youth, my peers, do what they love, like make a change in their community and just speak to their family members, things like that, like challenge the status quo. I think that's just, yeah, super inspiring, and that's sort of how I've been dealing with that.
Thank you for your response, Annie. And I also want to thank you for circling back to a few questions ago about hope. I kind of want to get another answer to that question. Does anyone want to expand on what gives you hope? What makes you continue with your process and your practice, especially in all the times that we're living through? Thank you, Anna. Sure. You just, yeah.
Yeah, so actually what I think what gives me the most hope is when I see youth, and it could be very young children or teens, just making art and expressing themselves, because you just, you can't look at life in a cynical way when you see that happening. And I think that's in those times we live in, and that's been actually forever, but there's always this cynicism. Everything is so negative and sad, and we're not going anywhere. But I think with youth and art, there's a purity, and it's real. They still have it. They still have it until, you know, something happens sometimes down the line, probably because of the pressure either of family or society in general, right. That we all have, you know, to go through. But I think that's really what gives me hope, and that's in all media. It could be photography, it could be dance, it could be music, and I think I would say that what inspires me actually the most is to look at other art. I read a lot of literature, so I love going to museums or seeing art in the street. And it's just when you see what the human mind can make, you just cannot but have hope, I feel.
Right. Yeah. And a good point there. Thank you for that. Oh, Hannah, sure.
Yeah, so for me, I think, you know, the really cool thing about photography, this practice that we all share, is for me at least, for documentary photography, is it's a confrontation with the world. You can't make photography in a vacuum, right? Like, it's you interacting with the world, with what this world is made of. And it's very difficult to go through the world actually without finding bits of hope and finding little pockets that really provide you with clarity, with another perspective, with a different, with a challenge to what you already believe. And so I find that I found myself, because of the pandemic, obviously, like many of us, I found myself in a really hard place, in a very difficult place.
Right.
And it was just incredibly healing to go back into my practice, even if it meant that I had to change so much of my practice, because, I think I spent most of my career being able to make safe spaces and intimacy with people that I was photographing. And of course, with COVID, that safety means distance.
Right.
And I had to reformat the way I photograph in order for me to continue. And even if I had to change it, and even if I had to shift the way I work, at the end of the day, photography is still about making a connection. And I think that once we connect with other people, once we realize that we are not alone, that really gives me hope. And even if it's a very solitary practice, you cannot do this practice on your own. Um, and there will always be other people lifting you up. There will always be your community. There will always be people who you interact with, who will let you in, who will, find a way to show something different than what you already know. And I think that we are so lucky that we have photography, because what I realized, I was talking to an educator recently, and she was talking to her students about primary sourcing. And I wish I had learned this in school, because I was taught in school that, the way you get information is through books, through the internet. But she was teaching her students that the way to learn is to actually get from primary sources, meaning you talk to people, meaning you actually go around and you learn. And I realized, wow, in that sense, I've never stopped my education, because I'm a photographer, and it's so wonderful. And that gives me hope. And even if that means that we've had to be creative in the ways that we do our practice, we've had to shift. I think the other thing that also gives me hope is realizing that every single photographer now is part of telling a collective story. We are all going through this pandemic. We are all going through it. And even if that means things are limited, even if things are difficult, we are all it's not one photographer telling the story about this pandemic. It's all of us contributing. And I love that. It's not anymore about me. It's not about the hero photographer. It's about all of us documenting our experiences together. And someday, hopefully, we look back and see, hey, look at all these diverse perspectives. Look at all these things that we documented, and look at how small our lives became, and in turn, how much that opened up for everybody. So that really gives me hope. And it really does return to the practice. And I think once you get over that hump of like, everything is difficult, everything is impossible, for me, once I pick up my camera, if I find enough strength in me to pick up my camera, to make a connection, to talk to someone else, to listen to someone else's perspective that isn't the voice in my head that's saying, hey, this sucks, or hey, you're not going to be able to continue. As long as somebody else comes in, I open the door, light will always stream through. And that's really what the camera is, light streaming through.
Right. Thank you for that, Hannah. Cara, yeah, sure.
That was beautiful, Hannah. And I think it's okay to say this, that if you love photography, don't ever stop, because this life is hard, and you just never know what's coming. You don't know what's coming with your career or your family. And there have been times where I've faced depression as an artist. It's something that's very real, that comes. And sometimes when we are lost in any kind of self-destructive behavior, or in times of depression that we can't control, one of the things that we do is stoppage. We stop doing the things that we love. And there have been times where the darkest times of my life were when I was not being a photographer, when I was not picking up my camera and doing the things that I loved, because I was not loving myself. So I think in many ways, another layer of what gives me hope is photography. It is a very powerful drug of self-love and self-care. And if not photography, any kind of art is really a chance to go into yourself and into your communities and show love and show hope. So that's just what I wanted to share in addition to what Hannah and Anna shared.
Thank you so much for all this wisdom and passion and patience. You guys are really answering these questions wonderfully. You all are answering these questions wonderfully. We have another question here from Mina. She said, if there's still some, if there's still time, which we have, how did you develop your own personal style of photography and editing? I actually like that question. Yeah, it's a little bit more of an intimate question too. For anyone, I believe this can be adults or youth that can answer this. How did you develop your style and edit? Cara, yes.
So sometimes when I go to do lectures at school and those types of institutions, I like to show my really bad work from early on because I think that like you have to photograph and you have to photograph a lot, and it takes a long time to hone in on your style and your identity. And I still have 20-year-old negatives. Like I've never thrown any of it away. It's still all very important to me, although I would probably not show everybody some of that work. I think it's like audience feedback. I think like you know where you want to get visually, but you don't always come out of the gates able to execute what you see in your mind's eye. And at some point, those two start to close in on each other, and all of a sudden you're making the work that you wanted to create. And it also seems like when you get there to your really authentic voice and your highest craft, that you begin to experience positive audience feedback. And it is about connecting to other people. And it's not about connecting to everybody, but it's about connecting to the other people in the world that feel like you do. And it makes you feel less lonely and a sense of accomplishment that I can't even describe. And I think when you get there, you know it. It's like something has happened through your photography that you just never thought imaginable. And sometimes that happens really young for people. But like I said, never give up, because for me, it did not happen for a long time. For me, I kind of, I joke sometimes like I couldn't give my early silver gelatins away, you know, but I kept making photographs because I loved it. And because I kept wanting to try, because it was always that healthy compulsion of wanting to try and get better and wanting to problem solve and wanting, like Hannah said, to continue learning my entire life, not only from the medium, but from the people and from the experiences. So just don't quit and keep going.
Thank you, Cara. Does anyone want to add to that? I think that was, yeah, Anna. Anna, you're good, yeah. You're just muted.
Yeah, sorry. So I just wanted to add also to piggyback a little bit on what Cara said. What actually is amazing today is with digital, even with your phone, you don't need to feel, oh, I don't have the camera I need, I have to stop. You can continue, even if it's with your phone, just do it every day, do it all the time, because that eye that Cara is talking about, that vision you have, it's you working on it through the process. It's almost there's a technical aspect, obviously, that's important to know, but the vision is different. It's your voice, it's how you're going to sing, how passionate you're going to be about it. And so don't let anything stops you. Don't let the lens you own or don't own, or the new model, or if you're not doing film, or if you don't, just do it. Just do it. It's what's important. And I mean, you guys already show us that you know that, but for everyone out there, it's the same, for writers. They just write it's not about the typewriter they write on or the computer they have. It's about continuing the work, and that's what matters.
Yes, I like that point. I think that's a good touching point that we're on, continuing the work as we're all learning to do so now, civically, socially, and in our practices. So thank you for adding that note in there, Anna. That's, I think, the hardest part of it all is to continue making the work, continue developing the community, and making and holding the space. We have time for a few more questions if anyone kind of wants to jump in and add more questions to each other. Again, it's gonna be a conversation. It doesn't have to be just question, answer, question, answer. Do the adults have any questions for the youth? I would really love that.
I want to add to what Anna was saying. You know, like with digital, you know, I grew up in the Philippines, and I grew up in the 90s. So there was no internet, and there was no, like, we had very limited resources here in Manila. I learned art and art history in photocopied paper. You know, I couldn't even see the colors. Our libraries don't really exist here. Like, public libraries aren't really like a thing here. We did not have museums for fine art. There was no museums for photography. It wasn't until I was 26 years old that I first saw photo books and photos hanging in walls. You know, my touch point for photography was always newspapers or I'm sorry, that's my WhatsApp, and I'm just going to close it. So I think, you know, like, it's very, now I feel super hopeful because of digital. I really do think that so much of photography has been democratized. If I didn't enter the industry at a time when digital was a thing, I wouldn't have been able to afford photography, because I wouldn't have been able to borrow the cameras that I borrowed. I wouldn't have been able to edit in laptops that I borrowed. And I think that the youth now also has a much more sophisticated taste in photography, it seems, at least in my environment. I'm like, whoa, you're so young. How do you do that? That's amazing. But it's like people are much more visually literate because we're on our feeds a lot. And of course, that has pros and cons. I think the danger is also, you know, just feeding the beast and having your imagery or photography be dictated by the platform. I think the struggle now is really making sure that your work stands the test of time and doesn't only exist on the feed. But I think that there's just so much right now that makes photography really, really accessible. And I think that we're living in a time when that is really, if you know how to do it, that can be used as an advantage. And so I guess going back to the question, how did you develop your personal style, and building on what Kara and Anna said, it really is about persistence. Like, I think now that I look at people at early stages in their career and I compare, you know, there's part of me that compares. I compare where I was at that stage, and I was like, wow, I was really, really bad. And
growth.
Growth, yeah. And I think it's just really about continuing. Like, I really do strongly believe that if you think that there could be a space for you in the landscape, and if you're willing to go through, you know, if you're willing to continue, and if you're willing to wade through rejections and understand that this is my path, even if I have those rejections, even if people don't, you know, accept my work in their publications, I'm still gonna go. If you're willing to do that, there will be space for you. And I go back to, there's this really good interview with Ira Glass that I like, and he talks about the gap, and he says what we know as creatives is we have good taste and we see how good a work can be, and when you're starting out, often we are here and there's a gap between what we produce and what we perceive to be good in terms of our taste, and the only way to close that gap is to keep creating work. You know, and that really goes back to why I call photography my practice, because it's really about practicing until you get to a point where the work that comes out of your camera is something that is, is meeting what you had in your mind's eye. And I think that, through time, there will be people around you who will also be giving up. And then through time, there will also be people who are just starting out. And you will come into a place where, oh, I've been at this long enough, and now there's enough space for me to occupy. And I think that that's really cool. And I know that the question was really about honing your personal vision, but for me, it's just about keeping at it, because I don't think that I had this very intentioned, oh, this is my style, oh, this is my vision. That sort of came because I kept doing the work. And inevitably, because it's photography, every picture really says just as much about the photographer as it does as about the thing in front of the camera, because what you decide is, is worthy of being in the frame says just as much about you. So I think, not forcing yourself to have a style, not forcing yourself to have an aesthetic, and also just letting things flow, making space for serendipity. Those are super important things. And maybe it won't be as tight as like, hey, I have an aesthetic and this is how I'm going to edit. You don't have to do that. You can sort of flow with it. You can sort of learn. It can be the other way around. You can learn about yourself by seeing what is coming out. And when you're photographing, does this look like me? Does this look like me? Does this look like something that, I can be? And then you just keep at it.
Yeah, Hannah, actually, just to continue on that point about comparing, Cara, you said you wanted to kind of touch on that point there, right? About comparing yourselves to others and things.
I do.
5 minutes left here, so I'd love to hear your points on that too. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to share, because I think it's come up a couple of times about comparing yourself to other photographers. And I can remember in school that the photographers that I admired the most, and I appreciated their work so much, and other photographers that I still show with. As you try so many different things, and as you hone in on your own voice, you'll begin to see where your strengths are. And sometimes your strengths might not be the types of photographs that you appreciate that others make. I always thought my photographs were very conservative, because I always went back to this like very crisp lighting, that I wanted it to be just a certain way. And I would look at other people's photography and think it was so artistic, and they had wild use of color, and I do appreciate that so much. It's not something that I'm good at. I appreciate black and white photography so much. It's not, but other people can't do color the way that I can, from start to finish. And so these things, this like really crisp lighting and this really good eye for color, became my strengths, and they became what I always went back to in my work. And it's okay to look at other people's artwork and to try it, but really pay attention to what your eyes are good at and what you're good at as far as like directing or working with people. That's all I wanted to say, is sometimes your style is already there. You just have to believe that, you have to continue getting good at it.
All right. Yes. Thank you for that.
Can I just build on that? It's also like realizing that you will evolve.
2 minutes here, but yeah.
It's like realizing that you will evolve and you will change as well, and realizing and honoring that change. Like, don't be fixed either. Like, I realize now that I've been so fixed in what I thought my style was that it became limiting. And now I'm trying new things and realizing, oh, this is sort of the path that I'm going down. And it might have been different from what I did like a few years ago. And that's okay too. And so, not deciding it from upfront, but really letting it evolve with you, because it is, it's also part of your story, and it's also part of your journey. And it's an extension of your heart. It's really an extension of who you are. And as your heart changes, as your soul changes, so will your photography.
Anna, thank you for your points. I think that we're able to close the Q&A here, and I think those are good ending points to close on. I'm feeling inspired. I know our youth and our adults are feeling inspired. Are there any other last minute comments, thank yous that anyone wants to throw in there? I just want to go ahead and reiterate this message here one more time. If there's no other comments, be sure to join us this weekend for a continued conversation with the award recipients, a lively sister circle brunch, and visit the silent auction featuring 50 women photographers. There'll be more info at lostphotoproject.org/the Photo Awards. And I'm going to turn it back over to your director, Lucia.
Yes, hello again, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us for the Photo Awards. This is an especially special weekend for us to be able to connect with the photography community in this way, and also support Las Fotos project. As you all know, all of the proceeds from this weekend and tonight go to support our photography programs, which support photographers like Romy and Miabella and Annie as well, and our future Photo Award awardees, which we'll have next year as well. We hope that you all will, join us for the rest of this weekend and celebrate with us in person next year. Hopefully we'll be able to do that and not have to do this Zoom thing again. And we also hope that you can join us tomorrow for some more in-depth conversations. The conversations that we were having between the awardees right now are so amazing. We'll continue those tomorrow afternoon. So tomorrow we'll have Anna and Miabella, who will be on at 3 p.m. Hannah and Annie will be on at 4 p.m. and Kara and Romy will be on at 5 p.m. So please join us for that. If you don't have your tickets, you can go to Las Fotos Project/the Photo Awards to get those tickets. And also make sure to pay a visit to our online galleries throughout the year. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter at Las Fotos Project is our handle for all of those. And you'll be able to see some more of our student exhibitions that are coming out this year, as well as connect with our students and hear what our students have to say through our online events that we have throughout the year. We hope that you all enjoy the rest of your night. Again, thank you all so much for coming, and thank you to our awardees, our students and adult awardees, for being here all night. I was just kind of sitting back here like this. You couldn't see me, but I was so enamored with the conversation that was happening. Thank you all so much. And we hope that you all will join us this weekend. Remember, our full schedule is on our website, lasfotosproject.org/the Photo Awards. Thank you all again so much for joining us.